friends and family. My name is Anna Brewer. I'm Laura's daughter, and Trisha is filming. Patricia is Marsha and Linda's daughter. And then this is our grandmother, Pat Henderson. And the date is April 13th, 12th, 2013. And we're taping this for purposes of everyone knowing about where you come from and your family. And we have such a great grandmother and a huge family and stories, and we wanted to capture some of those memories on film so we could all have them for future generations. Okay, so Trisha's going to do the taping.
Love you, Trish. Love you, Anna.
I love you too, Grandma.
And Anna soon is to be Anna Brewer Smith.
This isn't about Anna, it's about you, Grandma. Let's focus.
It's about my grandchildren, too, and children.
So we're going to start at the very beginning because that's the easiest way to stay the most organized. And this is actually something that one of Grammy's children gave her. It's something she filled out years ago about her past, so we're going to use it to start our documentary. So question 1 is, what is your full name? If interviewing a woman, ask her maiden name as well.
My full name is Patricia Maria Kelly Henderson. Born in March 1931, March 19th. I am 82.
Yes.
And growing.
She's shrinking, but she also is she's not the normal 82-year-old. She drives a Volkswagen Bug, and she has
my iPhone.
Lots of products, Apple products. So she's more trendy and technologically advanced than most of her grandchildren. Oh, definitely her children.
No.
Question 2. Do you know what your first name means or whom you were named after?
I was named Patricia, for my grandfather, Patrick Kelly, who lived in Bluefield, West Virginia. And my middle name is Maria. When I was baptized, the priest asked my mother, what is this baby's second name, her middle name? And my mother was a convert to Catholic faith and didn't know you need a middle name. So we didn't say anything more except, I baptize you Patricia Maria. And I love it because I have St. Patrick as a sponsor in heaven, and I have Our Lady. And I was born on the feast day, March 19th, of St. Joseph. I have lots of friends in high places.
And you taught, everyone in our family loves St. Patrick because of you. And Trisha, you're named
after Grandma.
Yeah. So it's cool.
And Jill's middle name is after Grandma.
Names so cool.
And we've had lots of dogs that were named Patrick.
That's okay.
You had a little dog named Patrick for a while.
I did.
Sheltie.
I loved that Sheltie.
Question 3. It said, did you personally know the person you were named after, and what were they like? You kind of covered that.
I only knew my grandfather, and in his old age, he was blind, and I was maybe 8 when he died. But before he died, and I was visiting with my family, he would sit in a dark room. They didn't turn lights on. I visited a man who's blind, and his room is always dark. But as a child, it sort of scared me. So I would stand at the door and look at my grandfather, and he was wearing this cross, which was given to him by his bride in the 1800s, Grandmother Ginger. And this was on his watch chain. Men had pocket watches, but he'd be feeling this cross and sitting quietly, and one day he said, I know somebody's in here, and I ran away. But now I love him, but he kind of scared me.
That's a good one. Question 4. Does your family name have a special meaning?
It's Irish, Kelly, and I've always loved being Irish. My high school was Charleston Catholic Fighting Irish, was our team, our basketball team. And I was a cheerleader for that team, and we always celebrated St. Patrick's Day. big time.
The whole family appreciates being Irish.
Yeah.
We're less Irish than you are, but
One drop of blood makes you Irish.
I like that.
So you're all Irish.
There you go. We covered this one, but it says, when were you born? What year, I guess?
It was right at the Depression. And my mother said I only cost $50. Where the first two, my brother and sister, Marcia and Bill, had been like $1,500 for their delivery.
Oh, wow.
But it was Depression, and I was $50.
You were
She's
cheap,
on
baby.
Question 6, where? At a hospital, a home, elsewhere, and what city and country was it?
A hospital in Charleston, West Virginia, named St. Anthony's Hospital, and I was born there.
It says, what is your nationality?
Irish American. Really
That's what you put. You
American.
put American U.S. citizen. Question 8, was your family name changed when you originally came to this country? What was it, and in what language?
It stayed Kelly with 2 E's to always.
So you know you're Irish. You got that extra E.
My great-grandfather said you cannot take the second E out of Kelly because he paid a lot of money for it.
It's your heritage. And we have a Kelly. We've got a cousin
And
Kelly.
it took her 2 years to get the second E at the School of the Arts. They kept spelling her
Oh,
name
did they?
Kelly.
I didn't know that.
And I said, Kelly, you've got to get him to change it because it costs a lot of money.
It's important.
The second E.
Question 9. Who were the first family members to settle in this country? What were their names?
Great-grandparents, Patrick, the Kellys. My grandmother's family were Baldwins, and they were English from the Mayflower, I think.
Question 10. What brought them here, and how did they get the money to come here? Where did they first arrive? What possessions did they bring with them?
The Irish side, the Kelly side, came at the time of the potato famine in the 1800s when the Irish were starving, and America opened the doors to them.
Next question is, do you know any stories that might have been told about what life was like for them before they came here?
Not really.
You put no here too. Nothing changed. Next question. Where did they first settle when they came here? Do you think, how did they make their living?
Bluefield, West Virginia, and my great-grandfather was a tailor, and then they got into the coal business, and that grew very big.
Still
in
big.
Bluefield, West Virginia.
Still big in West Virginia. And the whole pipeline is the issue there right now. You've heard about that?
Yeah, that's bringing oil.
Uh-huh. But it goes through, I think, West Virginia. They're trying to run it through more impoverished states to run oil from Canada to, I guess, the Gulf Coast. Next question.
I'm glad you're interested in it.
NPR in the car.
What?
NPR. I
I
listen
think
to
Anna and I are the only
We
ones that
all
listen
do.
to
That's the best
NPR.
way when you're in a hurry to still get your information. Next question. Do you know when and where your grandparents were born and their full names?
Ireland, County Cork, the Kellys. My grandmother was born in Virginia. Her family went back many years, Virginia family, Baldwin.
And I have their names here. Patrick Kelly, Virginia Baldwin, Emma Walker.
Emma Walker Brooks was my mother's mother, was born in Richmond, and my grandfather Brooks in Richmond.
Yeah.
So we have some Southern and some Irish.
Do you remember any of the stories your grandparents would tell you about where they came from or what life was like when they were younger? What are some of those stories?
Not really. I asked my dad once why he didn't do genealogy on the Kellys like he did for the Baldwin for my grandmother. He did a long genealogy. He said I would only find a potato farmer.
Oh.
And now I'm annoyed that I didn't say a potato farmer would have been important.
Well, that's why we're doing this, you know, because sometimes if someone
But I
didn't
think-
take anything for you to trace, you can't find it.
When the Irish came to the U.S. from the potato famine, they were looked down upon like immigrants from, you know, most times immigrants do not come in usually with open arms. Some do from countries like
Working class, usually.
but the Irish were not looked kindly upon. So we don't have any stories except that he became a tailor, and that was my great-grandfather, I think. And then my grandfather was in coal business and banking.
There's a kitty. I thought that was
That's
Trish's
Jasper.
kitty.
It was Jasper.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the one that was supposed to be inside. Next question says, do you know where they are buried? Your grandparents.
My grandfather is buried and grandmother in Bluefield, West Virginia.
Do you know what cemetery?
Mm-hmm.
Where is
I
it?
don't know the name of it, but we have it on records. And I've got stories about that cemetery and my dad.
What were their full name? What were the full names of your own parents?
Florence Brooks. Her mother was Emma Walker Brooks, and my dad was William Dennison Kelly.
When and where were they born and brought up?
My mother was born in Richmond, Virginia, and my dad in Bluefield, West Virginia.
What were your parents like?
They were cool. My mother was in Richmond, and a Catholic young man wanted to marry her, and my grandmother was afraid of Catholics. So she sent my mother to Bluefield, West Virginia to stay the summer with her sister. And she met my dad as the only eligible Catholic bachelor in Bluefield, and mother fell madly in love with him. And my grandmother said, okay, Catholic it is.
It was bound to happen.
She loved my dad.
It says, did you have any aunts or uncles? What were their names, and what do you remember about them?
I had an Aunt Helen that, on my dad's side. They were sister and brother. And they were just funny because they liked to argue. It's kind of in the family. You know? And they both were stubborn. Oh my gosh. But I took them to Florida once with my mother, 3 80-year-olds. My dad, my Aunt Helen, and my mother. And that was a fun trip. And then I had an Aunt Margaret, my mother's sister, and she was foo-foo-y, and, you know, she had she was kind of wealthy and had a beautiful home and a Persian cat, and only one child, and I used to love to go in her daughter's room. It had a canopy bed and beautiful dolls, you know. I'd go sit in that room. I came out of the Depression. I'd never seen all this beauty. And the white cat, my Aunt Margaret had a maid, and she told the maid to give the kitty a bath.
Oh,
And
goodness.
so the maid said, all right, Miss Lee, her name was Margaret Lee, I will bathe the kitty. And my Aunt Margaret said, and be sure to fluff his tail.
Oh.
She said, Miss Lee,
This is where
I will
Jessica
bathe
must get
your
that.
kitty, but I will not fluff his tail. And the maids didn't usually talk back. She washed the cat, and Aunt Margaret fluffed the tail.
Well, now we know where the high and mighty, like the princess thing comes from. It's in some people in our family.
That's funny. It says, do you have any brothers and sisters? What were their names, and when were they, and where were they born in relation to you?
My brother Bill was oldest, born in Bluefield, West Virginia. Then there was a baby named Virginia who died there as an infant, 2 days old. And she had been named for her mother, my grandmother Ginger. And I've carried that name down to my daughter, Ginger. And baby Virginia was buried in Bluefield. And then my sister Marcia was born there. And I have a younger brother. I was 5 years behind Marcia. And then my brother Don, who lives in Philadelphia and was a professor at Villanova, he is 5 years younger. He's still living. Aunt Marcia, my sister is still living.
I didn't know he was a professor at Villanova.
Mm-hmm.
He was.
So there were two infants, the two babies that died?
Only one.
One,
Baby
Virginia. How old was she?
2 days.
Wow.
They said she was too beautiful, too angelic to live.
Oh.
But I will tell you a funny story, and keep it or not. My dad was a very independent guy, and all my children, older ones, remember him in Stonehenge. And there was a cemetery near Stonehenge. You could see it from the back of the property, and that's where my brother Bill is buried, and his wife, my mother and dad, are buried there, and baby Virginia. But originally she was buried in Bluefield, West Virginia. And my cousin was on the board of the cemetery, John Stacy, and he got a call one day. My dad could not get permission to move that baby from Bluefield, so he just took a truck and
gosh.
shovels.
You could never do that nowadays.
And he showed up on the cemetery and started digging. And the manager called my cousin John and said, "Mr. Stacy, somebody's digging up a grave over on the right." When John asked, "Where is it?" he identified the place. John said, "I'll be right there. I know who it is. Don't worry." But my dad dug up that baby coffin, put it in the truck, drove it to Lewisburg, and buried baby Virginia
Wow.
in his family plot. So
Did he get in trouble for it?
Wow, that's amazing.
he had enough pull to have his nephew on the board of that cemetery.
Sure.
And he told John, "I'm going to do it one day."
It's a matter of time.
He warned him. That's
Um,
interesting.
The next one was it's a question about your brothers and sisters. What were they like as young people? Do you remember any special or funny stories about them?
Yes, I did not. I was a little past 5 years and 7 years younger. So they did kind of mean things to tease me. And one thing I remember, like we're out here with the birds and the trees. Well, our house was on a hill, and we had willowy trees. And they would climb way to the top and get on the branches that would lean over and drop them to the ground. And I climbed the tree and followed them up. And after they got down to the ground, I grabbed the willow branch and jumped off, and it stopped halfway down because I
You
was
weren't heavy
only about
enough.
7 years old. And I'm screaming and kicking and yelling, "Help, help!" And they thought it was the funniest thing, and they ran off and left me. I said, "You want to kill me?"
Now, is this Dawn and Aunt Marcia?
This was my brother Bill and Aunt Marcia.
That's funny.
Oh, little beetle. Fly away.
I've never heard that story.
Oh, really?
But remember when we lived in Paughtown? Remember the fort Dad built
Yeah.
us? Jessica and her friends were doing that with trees,
Were
and it
they?
would drop them to the ground. And I did it, and I was younger, because I'm 4.5 years younger, and I
Yeah.
got stuck too.
Did you? Well, at the time, and then we had a big lake. It was 30 feet deep, and I can't believe it, but I learned to swim at age 5. And Mother never came over to the lake, but they had lifeguards. And it had been a cooling lake for steel in World War II. And when the war was over, they allowed it to be a community pool. There he goes. And the lifeguards, so I'm told, would swim with me, and I would dog paddle to a raft, like 20 feet out in the water and back. And they had a diving board with 3 levels. And one day my sister said she would give me a nickel if I would jump off the top board. And that was a lot of money, you know, in those days.
What is that compared to now? How much would that be?
Today it would be like when you're a kid like that, somebody offers you, I'll give you $5 to jump off that top, and that would take you to the movies, you know. So I climbed now, 4 or 5 years old, all the way up, and I remember I don't know where the lifeguard was, but I walked out to the end, and I was kind of scared, but that she was paying attention kind of had my interest too. And they were all watching me, and so off I jumped, and I floated. I know the feeling of floating. It was so far to get down in the water that I floated, and when I hit the water, then I went
It's like Trisha skydiving.
When I hit the water, I went so deep that I'm going like this, and I'm thinking that she's trying to kill me. And I came up screaming at my sister, "You tried to kill me!"
Scared you?
Because it really wasn't safe for a 5-year-old to be
Well,
going off
probably
into
not.
a 30-foot lake. It wasn't a swimming pool. Anyway, we didn't worry about things then.
Where did you live as a child, and what was your hometown like back then?
We moved a lot. We lived in Charleston. I don't remember that as a baby. I remember living in Beckley, West Virginia, and I went to 2 schools in Beckley. And when I was in 4th grade, I had a little stirring for a little guy in the class. His name was Johnny. And I had never been rejected by my mother or father anyway. I never knew what rejection was. And I got the nerve up when I passed Johnny one day in his desk. I said, "I like you." And he said, "Well, I don't like you." I was humiliated, my first rejection in life.
Little boys don't like little girls as soon as
It was
little
4th
girls like
grade.
little boys.
Well, anyway, that was my first sad encounter with the male species.
Wait, what's the other cities or other places
We went from Beckley to Charleston.
Said you lived in 6 different homes in 8 years.
Yeah, then we moved to Tennessee during World War II when I was about 12. And my father worked at the Oak Ridge plant. They were developing the atomic bomb. He did not know what they were creating, but he took me once out to Oak Ridge, and it was like a big mud field with barracks, and whatever barrack building you worked in, you didn't know what the other ones were doing. My dad knew material was coming in, but it was so secretive. But he took me, and they put a big badge around me that said visitor.
Ooh.
And I felt so special. And we walked along wooden, like a boardwalk, along these barracks, and I was allowed to go with my father to see where he worked. Now and after the war, he was given the Army Navy E for his work as an engineer.
Is that when he found out what he was
found it.
doing?
I found it in the attic. Well, he knew when the bomb was dropped.
Oh, that's what he was creating. So he didn't know up until then?
No. And the Army Navy E was in a beautiful box with velvet and ribbons. And the E was for excellence. And when I found it in Stonehenge up in the attic, I asked
didn't
my
like that.
dad about it. He said I put it up there because I wasn't proud of it. And I admired him for that.
Mom told me she remembers him almost feeling ashamed of being a proud man for what he does,
Yeah.
but then finding out what
That
he was making, it was really hard for him.
It,
Where is the medal now?
I don't know. Eric wanted to show it to his teacher. She said, I don't believe that's
Our cousin Eric?
No, we don't know what happened to it. I went back and asked the people who bought Stonehenge if they had ever found it, or if they did, would they call me. But
No luck. So,
I brought it down to show it to my dad, and it probably never got back in the attic. He probably dropped it in the
He might have
trash.
yeah, he very well.
disposed of it himself.
Yeah. He was not proud of it.
So after, was that Tennessee? Or where was
After Tennessee, we went back to Charleston.
Charleston?
And I went to,
How old were you?
at that time, I was in like 7th or 8th grade. And my dad had a black car, an early Ford car, with a rumble seat on the back end of it.
Ooh.
And I remember he was driving us to school one day, or driving me to school, and I think he had my sister. And he turned a corner, a right turn, and the road went down and under a bridge. And I'm sitting in the back, and I looked, and we didn't hear anything, but I was looking, and I saw a tire rolling down under the tunnel.
Oh, no.
And the car hadn't hit the ground yet.
Oh,
'Cause
gosh.
He was making a right turn, and then all of a sudden, bam.
Wow.
Dad said, what? And I said, the tire went down.
The next question is...
Wait, was that all the cities?
Huh?
Was that everywhere you had moved and been?
We had moved to Dunbar, West Virginia, which is near Charleston. That's where I started high school, and then we did hop around in Charleston.
For what?
until
For
my
for your
parents
dad's
bought
work?
Stonehenge.
Okay.
They didn't buy houses then. They were still rebuilding from the Depression
Right.
and the war. And my dad started his own business with war bonds.
With
And
what?
All through the war, we bought bonds. To
Bonds.
be patriotic, you would get together like $100 and you get a bond. And everybody, my parents bought bonds. And my dad cashed them in to start his engineering business, Kelly Gidley Staub. And he was a civil engineer, built water dams.
This is in Virginia when we've driven to Shenandoah, right? And you would show us the bridges and
Yeah.
What he
He
constructed?
worked for the State Road Commission first, after the war. And then he opened his own business in Beckley. And so we had to kind of struggle for a number of years till that became firm. And he became the city engineer for many towns in Lewisburg, in West Virginia, including he was the engineer for Lewisburg. And
there were several famous bridges, right? That he helped with that.
no, he didn't. He used to go and look at this really famous one that is still, I don't know enough about it.
What's the bridge when we go to Baltimore and we go through Virginia? You always say, "Oh, this is the bridge," or "This reminds me of the bridge that."
Might remind me of it. But he really built water systems,
Okay.
and he would take me out with him in the woods and plot where the water is going to come up to. And one time I stepped in a yellow jacket nest.
Oh.
And I dropped to the ground screaming, and he came back and he beat all those bees off me, and I felt so safe, and he carried me out of the woods.
Oh. He's a very
And
loving
then
man.
when the water came up after it had been dammed up, he would take me and my brother and sister, and he'd put us all